All right. Hello. Let's see. Do we have audio? Yeah. We have audio. Everything's good. Okay. Hello. Welcome to today on April 3rd. Today is the live stream for April 3rd. We're going to do something a little fun and new. I have recently, well, I guess I did a squirrel sketch previously. So last live, I thought I would do something fun and change up. I usually do cats and stuff, but this time I decided to switch it up. And where is it? My sketchbook is filled with all sorts of things. So this was the previous one, and then this was the squirrel. I did the squirrel last week, and I thought, oh, it'd be really fun since I've been doing kind of characters with Pigma liners, Sakura Pigma microns, which are these bad boys. They're okay, and I like them, but I did see a bunch of videos of people sketching with just a ballpoint pen. Now, I have never done this before without any underliner, so it'll be a fun experiment. It'll be something that will be interesting, a little bit challenging, and also cost-effective. Ballpoint pens, I believe this one I had from, oh gosh, a while ago. This one is the one made from bottle caps, I believe, so it's been recycled, it's eco-friendly, made from plastics, reused plastics. So I hope you're doing well. I hope that you'll have a fun time with me experimenting with ballpoint pen. I will be sketching with just a pen, no undersketch. So, and I think today we're gonna do 2 sketches, hopefully. One of the distinguished gentlemen below, he is wearing a, I think I have one for my cat. It's basically like, it's a tie and a collar, and then some sort of like bolero type, not bolero, it kind of like goes on top of a fancy jacket. So overall, distinguished gentleman, 10 out of 10. And then I have another one, which is distinguished gentleman number 2. I should pull him up, and I will, but for now we're just gonna do a guy below. I'm like pointing to the screen below me. And yeah, I am a little apprehensive about sketching with the pen. I've never done so before. It's a little bit out of my depth, but if I mess up, you can watch me mess up. And I think it might show up a little better on the page. And you can go pretty light with ballpoint pen, so it doesn't have to be really, you know, it doesn't have to be a perfect sketch. And I think I've seen one from Prickly Alpaca. It's a YouTube channel that I watch sometimes, and she sketches from, she usually does like sketchbooks and got me feeling a little nervous. Okay, I guess we'll start. But she kind of does sketches, you know, normally with not much pre-thought. It's kind of just like, okay, I'll just do a sketchbook sketch and I'll see what I like. And I like that stuff. I kind of like how easy it is, kind of the ease of everything. And we're just gonna do a light. So this is all ballpoint pen. So I will say it is making me a little nervous, but we're working through it. We're working through any nerves we have, and I'm realizing I've changed the positioning. Okay. This is really interesting. I hope it works out. And I will be coloring this in with my Copics, but with Ohuhus this time. So this is kind of like a budget episode. if you're an individual who's on a budget and is wondering, well, I don't have Sakura Pigma microns, and I don't really want to get them, you don't have to. You definitely don't have to. You can just use a ballpoint pen. And I've seen a lot of artists do really amazing sketches with very cheap materials, and kind of my opinion is that you don't need something crazy expensive to do something really interesting and fun and cool looking. So yeah, we're just gonna use a ballpoint pen. If you have a ballpoint pen with you and you're interested in kind of doing a sketch along with me, feel free. I would really enjoy it. Yeah, it kind of shows up a little better on the screen too. Fascinating. Okay, I'm gonna make sure that we have the focus. Sorry, I have like my camera up. Okay, cool. We have our focus. Okay. So I really like this bolero, and then there's tons of these little tassels here. Okay. This one's a little bit further out. So it appears that he's kind of turned away. So if you think his shoulder, this shoulder's a little more turned away, we're seeing more of this shoulder. So we have a little bit more. And then he's also a black kitty. He or she, to be honest. This isn't a Pixar movie, so we're not going to be seeing eyelashes on our animals. A bit of a jab, I guess. Okay. So, and then we have this, like, his torso comes down about here. Okay. It comes a little bit down, but that's fine. Oh, I realized that I made this not overlap. And probably it seems more forgiving on camera. Okay. So not only is it more forgiving in terms of sketching, it is way more forgiving on camera. Really interesting. So I have not done any practice with these. So I'm literally just going in and being like, will this work? Will this be good? I don't know. Let us see. I'm thinking, okay. So in terms of updates for everything that's going on with my work, I just finished the Witch and the Frog Part 2. I just finished up that page, and a bit challenging because it was a background that looked a bit different from anything else that I had done before. So yeah, I still like it. I still think it's interesting, and I will still be posting it. So do not fear. That will still be posted, and I just need to edit the video, which doesn't take too long. Shorter videos used to take me a really long time because I didn't really know how to do any of the editing. It was just brand new for me. Like, how do you edit? How do you edit? How do you do things? Not anymore. I feel like I've gotten a bit better at that. So that's good. The longer videos have also taken me less time. It's kind of just like a, you know, the more you practice, the more you figure out that, okay, like you can make shortcuts. You can make shortcuts with a lot of things. You can, you can do things quicker, a little bit quicker. I wouldn't say I'm completely like to the point where I can chug out a like a 20-minute video in 4 hours in terms of editing. That's pretty fast. But I think the people who've done that are pretty quick with all their editing and stuff, so I'm in deep admirement of them. I admire. A deep admirement? That's not even a word. Look at me making up words. Okay, so you have some little ear tufts up here, and I think we have some, oh, I just realized that perhaps I made this little pattern here with the swirl. So it's kind of like a heart swirl, and then these. So I'm basically treating this as I would my sketches. So the way that I'm like sketching it is the same as I would with pencil, but I have nothing to erase. Oh, did it get out of focus again? Yeah, I have nothing to erase. But we'll work on that. And I guess I can just shadow with this as well. I wonder if it's going to look a little bit ominous. Okay, let's see the lighting. So I'm going to show you that the lighting looks like it's coming from the left side. So keep that in mind when you're trying to create shadows, is where is it coming from? It's coming from the left side, and it's about, actually, scratch this. It's not coming from top down, it's coming from directly to the side. And if you kind of focus on the way that shading and coloring and lighting is, or like photographic techniques, you'll notice that when light's coming from the side, you'll get a hint of highlight on the other end. So I guess if you notice, I have a light here, it's hitting this side of my face, but you can kind of see that it's kind of hitting this. So the light diffuses, and then the top of my cheek gets a little bit of a highlight. So that's also happening with this fine fellow. He has more of lighting coming from this side, but he has a little bit of highlight on this other side, and that'll be done through color. I'm not sure if I should do that via this pen, but we'll work on it, we'll figure it out. So but yeah, I'm super interested in this. I hope it turns out well. It's giving me very like, I think that because the strokes of the ballpoint pen are so scraggly, it's kind of giving me a little bit of like a creepy, like 90s. You remember the like stories to tell in the dark, I think? Oh man, that was the time when like shows and movies and stuff kind of hinted on dark themes, like concepts that you normally wouldn't show children now. There'd be a whole hullabaloo against it, but back then it was a bit easier. Oh, I see some light. So we're gonna get some light kind of under his Arsham shadow, and there's like a line of shadow coming down, but somewhat diffused by this kind of shade. So the fabric is folded a little bit, creating a little bit of shadow, and then it's doing that in the same, because the collar isn't just straight up and down. It has a little bit of like an under area. So we're just gonna hold on to that, and I'm just gonna hold on to these tassels, and I do have to eventually work on the face, but I'm just not looking forward to it. Because I know it's pen. What are you gonna do if you mess up pen, right? Will you have another chance? Will you get eliminated off the island? Okay, we have a little bit of hatch working, so this is what I'm doing to create some sort of shading. And I'm gonna do a little bit here. There's definitely a lot of shadow. And I think we'll just kind of work around the face, I think. Because I don't think there's too much else I can do. Well, I could just keep going, to be honest. Okay, so So there's always a good shadow below objects. So below the bolero, I keep saying bolero, but I don't necessarily think it is a bolero. Like the top. Unknown. Unknown. There are words that can be used, and I know none of them. Okay. Oh, and we have... Oh, okay. I see we have a whisker kind of coming down from this area and then hitting the outside. And something that I'm noticing is that the bottom is a bit darker than the top. So the tassels I didn't do completely correct, but that's okay. We will be coloring in and shading a good portion. I think I'm worried about the eyes. Okay, so let's finish up the top. I'm in such a mood looking at these colors and looking at my like kind of sketchy sketch. I'm in such a mood for like a good spooky movie or like a kind of less scary movie, which doesn't make sense because I think it's like it's Easter. Most people are in, you know, thinking about either Easter or Easter adjacent, or they just like doing the egg coloring. I used to do the traditional kind of like Russian egg coloring with my mother, and that was super fun when you take the dye and you just kind of use a little bit of like wax or use, I don't know, I just loved egg dyeing. That was my favorite part. Okay, not looking too bad. I do want to work on this mess on top of the bolero, so we're gonna do that. I love patterns. Patterns are my favorite. And I think I'm just taking a stab in the dark, but I'm seeing the cow pattern come back a little bit. That's very exciting to me. I think cheetah print is something that's been overdone in my book, so maybe that's why I'm not very interested in cheetah print, but cow print, very exciting. I've been recently watching these kind of like walk through, because, you know, I haven't gotten the vaccine yet, so I still have to wait for that. I can't really go out too much, you know, gotta be safe. And I've been watching these videos on YouTube which basically take you through a walk through the city. And there's a bunch of cities. The ones that I really like are from Japan, because you can see all these like shopping areas, which are so fun and so interesting, and you see everyone's faces and you kind of get the feeling that at the end of the day everyone's pretty similar, in terms of like there's just similar types of people everywhere. I think like there's couples talking to each other, there's okay, have I hit where let's see. Okay, so for the face, we're just gonna zoom in. We're just gonna zoom in. We have the ability, right? Okay. So we're at a point where I need to figure out where his little nose is. So we're gonna just do a little bit of, because a lot of his eye will be okay. So I think he has like a okay. And there's a bit of darkness, but from what I notice is that the eyes are pretty much set. And And I think it'll look a bit different when I color everything in. Because his little face now looks so angry, and that was not my intention. I think we'll be adding a little bit of highlight with my new highlighter that I've just seen so many recommendations for Uniball. I can't get the hang of it. It's a little too opaque for me, but we're still gonna work on this today. We're still gonna do this today. Yeah, now I have to figure out the nose. Oh, the nose. Okay, let's see. The space between the nose looks accurate-ish. So this is gonna be the top of the nose, I think. Okay, so we have the top of the nose here, which is in this little cute divot. Cats' noses kind of look like hearts. And then we have like a whisker coming out here, 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 here. Okay. And I recommend, if you're doing whiskers, be confident about it. Just take a deep breath, relax, get all that bad juju out, so that you can just kind of place the whiskers across. There we have our whiskers. Okay, so I think he looks a bit mad, but that's definitely not the intention. And I'm just gonna be coloring it in. Oh my goodness, we're already in the coloring phase. I think, if I'm thinking of the way that he's shaped, I think I've definitely made him a little less round. He had more roundness, now that I'm noticing, kind of near the top. So his face is kind of round. It comes up into this little kind of section. And the ears are a little, let's see. Here are the ears. This face looks familiar, but this roundness is something that I had a little lacking, kind of around the top. So he's a little less round, a little more stern, a little less kind of puffy, right? That's where I'm kind of getting the like puff of the collar, where the fur comes up. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna go for black. A little daunting, but perhaps we should do some color swatches while I'm wondering if I need anything else to do, because a lot of the rest of this kind of works with you know, coloring. I think the rest of this needs a bit of coloring, but I think the line work is pretty much there. And if there's anything else we need to do that I'm missing, we can definitely discuss. Or I can just, you know, shoot the all sorts of interesting things. Okay, so I'm noticing that I kind of have what I needed. So we have this color, which I think would be nice. So I'm just gonna start swatching over here. Maybe a little here actually, because we're gonna create space. I think this is the perfect color. I looked at it, I'm just thinking, this just seems like the perfect color for the background. So this is the Honey Y38, and I realized I mentioned we were gonna do Ohuhus. So this is not an Ohuhu marker, unfortunately, but I have a bunch right here, as you can see, and I think what is so close, but not exactly, is this color. This is a bit more orange, isn't it? Not as light. So let's try quince. This is what it is, quince. Let's see if quince works. Quince is good. It's not as honeyed as the other one. In the end, I'm a big fan of the top, but I told you this would be a budget episode. So if you give me permission, I'll use the honey color because I think the honey color is like the lightest parts. But I don't think it necessarily matters. Okay, we're gonna use the ahoo-hoos like I promised. And these come in 120 set like I have here, which is not bad. It's actually pretty good price-wise. And let's see. I wondered, so the bottom of him is shaded. If you see the bottom of the reference, it's kind of has like a bit of a shade. So I'm wondering if I should just use this color as the shading. Oh, that does look burnt. Okay, so this is just orange. This is just orange, which is fine. And I think we can use, let's see, we have gold. So we have gold for his outfit, which I think, let's see, what can we use? Can we use sunflower? That's a little too yellow. This might be very bright. No, actually, doesn't look too bad. Okay, so this is Y2 sunflower. So perhaps I should write it down if you end up wanting to use Copics. So this one is Y4, which is quince. This one is Y10. And this one is YR3. And then this one is Y2. So this looks like it would be good for the gold. And then, for my understanding, gold has a little hint of green in it. So I will be adding, as an experiment, this is the green, light green. So that will probably be, I'll put hints of it. So let's experiment. I'll put a little bit on the corner of this. Yeah, it looks a little bit more gold now that I'm looking at it. Okay, so we have that. We also need a bit of a corally red. So let's pull up our page. So these pages often come with most sets. Usually when you get a set, you'll find that they'll give you a bunch of color examples, and I go off of them mostly. If you want exact colors, you're not gonna get it too much. Oh, that looks like the tie. Coral pink. A little bit more coral, but I think I like it. Okay, so I think for the shadow of this, perhaps coral red is a good shade. No, too bright. Okay. So I'm gonna be using a deep orange to neutralize and darken and shade anything that I am seeing. So this might be a good shading color. I think I should probably get the terracotta. So this is terracotta. I just realized that was Copic. We're not using Copics today. Okay, so this is the brown. This is a good shadow color. And wire 2 is a dark yellow. And this might also be a really good shadow color, depending. So let's grab our coral and just place our coral down here. And I'm gonna go in with this yellow and I'm just gonna go over it. Yeah, it kind of looks like the shade of what's on the tie. So I think wire 2 is a little better than the terracotta. Terracotta looks a little bit too dark, but yeah, okay. So now that we have the colors you want to use, which are coral, so this is the coral. What color is this? R1. R1. And then this is, I think, YR2. No, YR1. Whoops, YR1. Okay, so we have YR1, and now we need blacks. So let's grab some blacks. What I usually like is I'm gonna use a cool gray, or maybe a warm gray is better. No, cool gray. Okay. we're gonna go with cool gray. This is the, we'll go to the other side. This is the darkest cool gray. So it's almost black, which is perfect. We have black, and let's see the difference. This is not a cool, we have black here. So let's see the difference on camera with these two. This is black. Barely different. There's not much of a difference. Okay. So then we have cool gray 7. Over here. Lighter. That looks like a good color to use. There's also cool gray 5, and we're not going to go much lighter than cool gray 5 because I have a feeling that it might just look too much. Okay, so I think we're ready to dive into it. This is going to be a lot of bright colors, which I don't want you to feel daunted about. I will just be using the quints at first with the background, and then be using Y10 and YR3 for the bottom parts, and then the coral, so this one, will be used on the tie, and darkening using the YR2, but potentially, if I see fit, maybe we might use R3. It just seems a little too bright, so I don't want it to be too bright. So things in shadows need to have a little bit of darkness to them. The collar, I just realized, comes in shadow color, so I'm gonna go in with the, so I'm thinking it's cool gray. It's the lightest cool gray in the set, but then also cool gray 2. Okay, so let's see. Cool gray 2 could be a nice shadow for the collar, the white collar, and then this will be cool gray 0, which will basically be the color. And then the eyes will be the yellow that was the Y2. I think. Oh, I don't like this color. It's not exact. But it's not pastel, because this is pastel yellow. Yeah, let's just go for it. Let's just do the sunflower. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. We tried our best. And we're only using Ohuhu colors because we're doing a budget stuff. We're using the cheaper stuff. I know Copics can cost an arm and a leg, and it's a bit annoying how much they cost. And I feel ya. I wouldn't, if I wanted a bunch of markers and I didn't want to spend that much, I'd probably just get frustrated. But thank goodness we have other marker companies that are out there. You don't have to use Ohuhu if you don't want to. There's Arteza as well. Okay, so we have quints. So let's just use quints on the background and see how it kind of stacks up against this ballpoint if it smudges. This would be a really good test. It does smudge a bit. It does smudge a little, but not too noticeable. There we have. Some people hate the sound of markers hitting the paper. I, on the other hand, don't mind. Some people hate it, some people like it, some people are ambivalent towards it. For some reason, my quince is coming out streaky. Oh no. Why are you so streaky? Perhaps I'm running out of steam with this marker. nice color, orange. Kind of is reminding me of those Fanta orange. Oh man, that's my favorite Fanta. Fanta, don't you want? Fanta was the best. What happened to Fanta? Are they still around? Do they still sell sodas? I hope they still do. I hope they still sell sodas. Okay, so because of the way I've placed everything, we can't really work too far to what we've swatched. So I'm just gonna keep it as is. So we already used our quince color. So quince goes to the side, Y4, and now we're gonna be using Y10, and starting from the bottom, and just kind of going for this background. Kind of an ombre, kind of an ombre look. Starting from here. Yeah, so it's good so that the face will be the focus. The darker areas will be here. And the face will have the lighter quince shade. And then lastly, we're gonna use the darker orange, the bright orange at the bottom. And it is brighter, but it is not darker. So I think I'm just gonna grab this one, the dark yellow, the wire 2, or wire 1. It works, okay. It works, and we're just gonna blend it in. Goodness, that it's good that we have our marker or watercolor paper, because if we didn't have watercolor paper, this would be a little more difficult to blend because we're using a lot of ink right now. Okay, I think we blended it enough, and I think the darker parts just make sense. Okay, so let's see. All right. So now I think I'm going to do the tie, which is in the R1 coral. And I am getting a feeling that I actually don't need the darker color because it already shaded it for me, all of the pen marks. Okay, cool. That ended up being a little less pink than I thought it would, but as you put markers down, they lighten up. So we're just gonna wait for them to lighten up. And we're gonna go in with the sunflower yellow and see if that works with the tassels, or if I need to darken it or something. Okay, not too bad. It does smudge a bit, but not anything too horrendous. You can kind of tell that it smudges a little bit. I wouldn't really recommend this for like a big page if you don't want any smudges. So perhaps this would go better with like watercolor, maybe water-based stuff, or water-based inks rather than just alcohol-based inks. So maybe we'll do that next time. I'll grab some water-based inks and we'll work from there, but you can kind of tell a little bit that it's smudged, or a lot that it's smudged. Okay, so now we're gonna go for the collar. The collar, we're gonna use the lightest Cool Gray 00. Place it down. Okay, and we're gonna go in the darker gray and just kind of use the shadow here under the neck. We have a little bit of shadow, and overall we're gonna do the body. So I think I'm gonna end up using the lightest gray, so for the darker part of the cat. So this is the Cool Gray 5, and before I forget, I'm gonna color his eyes in. So cats don't really have whites in their eyes, so it's just a yellow. Ooh boy, he looking ominous. We'll fix him up. We'll fix him up. He won't look so ominous by the end of it. Okay. Or he will, or I would have completely messed up. It's fine. We're experimenting. Okay. And you're coming along with me in this experimentation. So I'm just gonna go for the darker Cool Gray because I realize that there are no really big highlights at the bottom. So I'm gonna just grab this and color in the bottom half of his body. I never thought using ballpoint pen would be so interesting, so different. I think if I can, perhaps I'll be using I don't know if there's other brands that have ballpoint pens that work well with markers. Perhaps that would be a really fun way for me to experiment. I don't know. I'm interested. I want to experiment for sure. And I hope it doesn't come out too dark. I think that's my issue. Oh, it's looking very different stylistically. This will be interesting. I think I'll keep the body darker, but I'll definitely make the bolero in the lighter gray, just so that it kind of doesn't look too weird. Okay. Okay, and his little body. Is it darker than our reference? Yes. Will we fix it up? Of course. Okay. To the best of our ability. So this is the Cool Gray, lighter Cool Gray. So I'm just gonna go in, put this on the bolero. I keep saying bolero. I haven't changed. You know, weirdly enough, I'm kind of having fun with this because it's something new and interesting, and I might be able to highlight some areas at the bottom because I realized that it didn't really need this much of darkness at the bottom of it, but perhaps we're just going for something a little different this time. And let me grab the ballpoint pen for a second, and he does look a little chubbier at the bottom, but that's fine. There's no problem with that. Okay, and let's just dab on the yellow while we're here. To the white parts that I didn't fill in. And I think we will fill them in. Yeah, I think the yellow was a little too dark. So that is probably something that didn't work as well, I think. Concerning the ballpoint pen is that it smudged too much, so it darkened the rest of everything. I think I'll just lighten stuff in with the highlight, and then if that doesn't work, that's okay. Our experiment kind of didn't go as I planned, but okay, let's start on the face. Just coloring it in. Okay, so much texture and so dark. I mean, this is really fascinating for me. I'm so amused. I'm so amused. Okay, so time to go in. There's a little bit of like lightness here in the ears, but not in this one. And the top of the nose will be the focal point. Most of the rest of the face is still dark, so we're just gonna keep the top of the nose. And hopefully that'll make sense. And then we'll use some black. So, very different. Definitely needs some lightening. It's quite dark with the ballpoint pen. So if I would say, I don't recommend using a ballpoint pen with the with alcohol markers, but they are really fun to use in terms of sketching and stuff. Okay, I'm hoping I can get some light here. Okay. But if you do like dark sketches, if you do like a little bit of mystery and intrigue, I do think that it is useful. Or if you like this style, yeah. If you like this style and you find this fun and you kind of like how spooky it looks, this would be perfect for like Halloween, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, this would kind of be the perfect little thing for Halloween. Okay, so I kind of darkened it, but you still kind of see a little bit. Okay, so I think this is the point where we use our ballpoint pen, because we've colored everything, to kind of make some of the whiskers more prominent, pull some of the details in, and make everything a little bit cleaner. It's kind of got this rough style to it right now that I didn't think I would end up creating. It's out of left field for me, but I am actually enjoying myself a lot, so I hope you don't mind that I am kind of experimenting out the wazoo with this. Okay, so I think it's time to fix up his eyes. Okay, so he looks a little bit ominous, but I don't think he's actually an ominous guy. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna pull my leg's cramping. Okay. So some of the whiskers are not as prominent, but I made them prominent with a ballpoint pen, and we're gonna go in with some highlight. Let's see what we can do. Okay, so I'm just gonna use this on the side of the face. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna use a little dot on the nose, and we're gonna highlight probably the under parts of the eye to make a little bit of the eyes pop out a little bit more bright. And then he has two little light spots right here that we used with this liner. Okay, we have a little bit of something going on here. Okay, And then this part of the ear, we're just gonna highlight. We're gonna highlight some of the whiskers because he needs them. There's, I think, a few whiskers about here that have a little bit of light too. And I think here, there we go. And I think I'm gonna highlight where the shirt is, this top part, this part as well. And then I think we're just gonna highlight all of these little details over here with, yeah, we're just gonna do that. There we go. And we're just gonna highlight that as well. And he looks mysterious, and I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I don't know what to say. It looks really different from all the other stuff I've done. But this was very fun, and this was quite quick actually. So I did this in about, what, an hour? So not bad if I do say so myself. And the liner made that so much easier to do, as well as all the ballpoint pen. I think the ballpoint pen was really fun to work with. So now that we've done one distinguished gentleman, we should try and do another one. So we have another hour left, if you don't mind. I'm just gonna do another one below this. I did use up a good portion of this page, but we still have stuff below that we can work on. Oh, I did forget that I forgot to highlight this part. Okay, whoops. Okay, fun and very weird. Kind of really different from my style, I guess. This is quite a different thing that's going on. Okay, I just realized that he has part of his nose highlighted, and I'm just gonna use my finger to diffuse that highlight a little bit. And I think that's it. Okay, onward and upward, I guess. Let's go to, so I'm gonna pull up, but before I do, since we already worked on one, I'm gonna take a quick 2-second break. So it's break time, go grab some water, go grab a drink. Oops, that's my thing. And I'm gonna go on break for a hot second, and when I come back, we will start. Okay, so it'll be 30 seconds to a minute of break time. All right. Okay, back from break time. So that was really quick. I just got a drink of water and I pulled up our next distinguished gentleman that we're gonna work on. If you're still grabbing stuff, if you're just relaxing, don't worry. I'm kind of just gonna get semi-started. I'm kind of looking at my cat drawing. I don't know. It's kind of interesting the way that ballpoint pen really, and smudging, really dictates how things look. It was really dark, and I just used the highlighter to kind of lighten things up. In a weird way, I actually am really digging this look. It's not a style that I do very often, but it's a fun experimenting. And like I said, ballpoint pens are cheap. Sometimes you can get them for free when you're at school or at the doctor's office, or sometimes they just kind of like give you a free pen. I don't know how they're doing that in COVID, probably not, but if you're kind of visiting somewhere or a business, you can get a free ballpoint pen. So you could get this for free if you wanted to, or at the 99-cent store. So cheap, accessible, and fun. And if you don't like how it's smudged, you can use water-based like Crayola markers. They work too. They don't come in as extensive colors as, some of the Ohuhu markers are, but you can also use them for, you can probably buy a pack for like $5 or something, and there's like a lot of them in. The Uniball, I think, is about $1 or so. So this one would probably be the pricier one, but you can find this at Michael's and anywhere. So yeah, so everything is pretty accessible price-wise. I don't ever want to deter anyone when I talk about, markers or Copics. Copics, potato, but yeah. So I think we can now kind of get started on our second distinguished gentleman. This is actually a painting I found on Pinterest, and not a photograph. Overall, I think using other paintings as references, when you're just having fun experimenting, which is what I'm doing, is fine. Go ahead and use other people's paintings if you want to kind of emulate it. It's good practice. And also good fun if you really like that piece. So I really like this piece. I got it off of Pinterest, and we're just gonna move on to this guy. So I'm just gonna pull this page down. Hopefully we have enough space. Okay, it might be a little bit smaller, but it'll still be fine. I kind of had that feeling that it would be. So I'm just gonna map out my spaces. Okay, I think it'll be to here, perhaps? Okay, and then we'll do a bunch of swatches here, because there's a lot of black going on in this, so we're gonna be using a lot of black. Not as much orange like we did previously, so these oranges will go back in the container. But I'm seeing this like really nice red, like a dark red in this guy, and some like light colors too. So I might end up using like a peach or a warm gray or some sort of like brown. The brown in my set ran dry, so for now, if I'm gonna use brown, I will be using a Copic, but that's only because the brown that I used for this set completely died, so I don't have it anymore. Okay, and there's not that many grays, it's just kind of black and white and cream colors, so yes. I might leave stuff empty and just not use any shading, because when I did it for the cat, I realized that this kind of came out smudged, so we might end up just using white and nothing else, which means it's just going to be the page. I'm not particularly worried about this yellow smudge here. That will be dealt with accordingly. Okay, and we can, make that work for us. Okay, so let's start. I'm thinking that this will probably be the top of his head. I'm just gonna lightly put it here. Yeah, this will be the top of his head, and then we can extend the black further because there's more black. His head will kind of come out here, and then, you know, he's got some shoulders. Yeah, and then this other one, this other neck, shoulder. Okay, the painting doesn't really go further, so we don't really see an extension, but I will extend his robe to come out. So I will create something that is from nothing. Not really. We have interesting reference here. So I'm just gonna kind of map out this like sleeve a bit, and then we have also like another sleeve. And I just, yeah, perhaps it's a little too, so I'm just gonna move this shoulder down maybe a little bit. We have this shirt, I think, yeah, we have kind of this collared sleeve, this like little handkerchief moment. We have our shirt, we have this little puffed sleeve, we have a dark vest, this black vest against this black background. Is it black? Ooh, okay, okay. Looking at this reference, I'm getting something really interesting. So the more I look at it, the more I'm realizing that that background's not black. That background is brown. It's a dark brown. Okay, so if the background is dark brown, that means that we can get a way, we can find a way so that this doesn't, this collar or this like vest that I'm going to be drawing won't disappear into the background, because that was like, that is still my worry that it'll disappear. But I just really liked this reference, and I just wanted to draw some distinguished gentlemen. Forgive me. So yeah, we have this like vest. Okay. Is he a judge? What does he do? Is he part of the Canine Council? Who is he punishing? Who is the good boy, really? These are questions. You'll find out this week, tonight, on 60 Minutes Canine. Oh, I am literally my own entertainment. I just make my own stuff up, you know? When I feel, when I please. When it pleases me. Okay, so he's just giving me judge vibes. He's a judge and he doesn't mess around. If you come into his court with a bad attitude and no doggy treats, you're done. Think of your career over. Think of your think of your marriage over. Think of your, you know, constitution over. You know, he has dog powers that no one even knows about. I'm just being silly, but I don't know. I like thinking of characters often. Okay, so we have our guy. He has quite a snout. So this snout is like a little bit, it's got me in a tizzy. Will we be able to sketch this? Okay, so we've done his neck. He has a flat, kind of like a flattish top to his head. So there's like a flat top, there's a little bit of a bump, and then we have like kind of like this, not like Dorito shaped. So let's draw a Dorito. So we're gonna draw a Dorito. And this isn't necessarily the Dorito, like, you know, lifestyle. So he has an eye back here, and then we have this kind of, it's like a box. It just feels like a box over here. It just kind of feels like a box with some jowls. So it kind of comes out and we can kind of get the sense. So I think the reason that I'm thinking about this like this is because I'm creating these shapes. It looks odd, but basically it kind of looks like his face is a box, his snout, and then his head is kind of like a flat top, like, so like imagine another box on top, right? And then he has these, like, I guess this is a little too far. So the spacing and the proportions are not correct. We'll fix that with a bit more. But his jowls kind of come down to about here, I think. And then we have like another jowl. We have an ear that comes down higher than the jowl. So we're in luck. This is actually a good placement for this ear. And then this ear kind of comes up, and we can kind of focus on the other shape of the ear. But creating a triangle for the ear was really helpful for me. And I think if you're ever kind of thinking about everything that you're drawing and you're really confused with what to draw, just separate it into shapes. Circles, triangles, squares, rectangles, three-dimensional objects can be really helpful in making something 3D, but also just helping your eye get less stressed out by what you're seeing. So that's all I gotta say about that. And I kind of learned this the hard way, you know, because I'm a, you know, self-taught kind of person, and I didn't learn via anybody else. I just kind of learned on my own. I did participate in, you know, in going to some sort of schooling for a while, but it didn't, I don't think it gave me a lot of skills, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think a lot of it is just practicing and figuring out what makes sense. These jowls that are coming down are just, oh my goodness, sir. Sir, please be fair to me and my family. Okay. So we have a little bit, and we have his neck, kind of these like little folds, doggy folds. We have a jawline that comes up, so we have a little bit of like a cheekbone central here. Very nice, very distinguished. He looks a little bit more chunky in my sketch, but perhaps that is for the better. His vest comes down, and there's tons of little fabric folds. My God. Okay. So we have a fabric fold here, and we have a fabric fold here. We have one here, and then we have one coming down here. Okay. So it's like a little one. But most of it, so we have a lot of like filled in kind of like space here. So those are kind of precursory fabric folds that don't necessarily look too amazing or too horrible. Just kind of following the general shape of things. Okay. And we have our lines. Just want to add a bunch of lines here. Okay. But yeah, I would imagine this dog is has a lot of opinions, and he's been in the business for a while. What business? No idea. I have no idea. But I'd like to think he's a judge, just for my own peace of mind. I think he would make a great judge. Okay, let's see what we're doing here. It's like a zigzag of a fold. Oh my goodness, my brain just can't handle this. Okay, let's go by rules of shapes. Okay, line comes down, line comes up, we have a bit of a triangle shape. Okay, line comes down, line comes up, we have another triangle shape. Okay, we have another triangle shape come here, And then this one is just a bunch of little kind of like jagged curves that come down. And I'm guessing that there's gonna be another pleat here, and then the shoulder will come out. So we're just adding some shoulder. And then this is the collar, or maybe like, not collar, but like, what's the word for it? Pleat? Anyways, so this part has some fabric folds in it that we're just gonna go with. It's not a true reference, so we're not gonna get all the really great fabric folds that I would want to from an actual reference. A lot of these are just kind of painterly stops, so. Okay. Let's focus on where the face is. Okay, so we've already kind of focused on the outfit, and we have a lot of stuff down here that doesn't really need any more stuff going on. I don't think so. So we're gonna work on the face. So we have this like jowly area. His nose kind of comes up. He has a bit of a dark spot, and he has a bunch of these little like, these little spaces. And then this part of his kind of comes down. So I'm just kind of creating the darkness. So there is like a bit of darkness around here because the slope is a bit, because the slope of his face is a bit flat, so. Nose has 2 holes, as most noses do. And we're just gonna be really focused. Because I mess up noses all the time, and maybe it's ballpoint pen right now, but it is so forgiving to me right now. I am so appreciative of how forgiving this ballpoint pen is for me. I think that's what made me really enamored with the idea of using ballpoint pen, because the person who was talking about it was saying it's just so forgiving when you sketch. So if you make like little mistakes, it's nothing that you can't necessarily handle. You can definitely handle it. And it's nothing too crazy. So that was my style. Or that's just something that's very appealing, right? Something that doesn't have too much stress behind it. Okay, so we're getting closer. And once again, the light is coming. Is it coming from the side? No, I think it's coming from up top, actually. Because of the way that the light is, I think. Because if it was coming from the side, I think we would see a little bit, maybe a little higher. So maybe it is like a light that's just a little higher, perhaps. The sun is about, or whatever light fixture is. Because the bottom, sometimes it's hard to figure out where exactly the light is, but at least I know the general gist of where everything is. Okay. So we're just gonna work on the eye. His eye is kind of sad, downturned a bit. Let's see. In terms of the way that his eye looks. Okay, so he has some darkness here, and he's got an eye crease and a bit of darkness here on the outside. And there's some darkness underneath his eye, so kind of like there's highlight at the top of the socket, or at the top of the, I don't know, lower lid. Lower lid, haha. I have words now. I can use words. Yay! Okay, so we have another eye here, and we're just gonna make that one dark, and then we're gonna make this one. This one has like, This one also, same as the cat one, is kind of just like a filled in space for me. So I'm just filling it in, not fully, but I kind of filled it in a little bit, if you can see. And I'm just gonna do some hatch work here that kind of indicate that here's kind of just some like face fur coming down. And we have some whiskers here actually. So we have a little bit of like these little whiskers. There is some divots in I think, okay, so we have some shadows from the back, and then shadows about here. Yeah, so we have shadows on the bottom of the ear. Oh, and we have some light over here too. So perhaps we have extra lighting that is not being shown about here in photography, if you think about it. There's like a main light, and then there's a supporting light that can be on the other side, so that things don't look too dark and crazy looking. So yeah, so there we go. And there's like a bit of darkness between where his ear is and where his face is, so we're just gonna keep that going. And I think, do we have everything? This might have been much quicker than I thought it would be. Okay, cool. This is a bit quicker than I thought it would be. But there's still some light at the top of his nose. There's like okay. So the under jowl part is in darkness. There's some darkness here near the throat. And I think overall, we've kind of managed to create this like flat top head that I was really interested in. Perhaps the proportions aren't exactly like the reference, but we've kind of gotten the spirit of it, I think. I think we have. Okay. So now perhaps we can do some swatches. What do y'all think? Okay. So let's swatch some colors. I'm getting the sense that, oh my gosh, maybe we'll use mahogany. So the background, that's brown. That's a dark brown. And I think that would be perfect for the background. So this is a Y12. This is mahogany. Don't scratch the mahogany. And we have black, of course, Miss Black. She will be in the best. And we have white, and I will not be coloring this in because I just have a feeling it'll smudge. So we're gonna keep that light and bright. As for the other colors, so we have cream and brown. So the brown that I used, which was the Copic, was potato brown. Now potato brown is amazing and I've used it so many times, but because I run out of potato brown in my Copic set, it does exist in the sorry, I have to fix myself. Because the potato brown does exist in the Ohuhu set, I will refer to it as potato brown. It's not potato brown as a marker. It's actually just toast. So unfortunately, I will be using toast for my light brown. But it is so similar to potato brown, and this is why I bought it. So if you're ever wondering about, you know, well, what do I use if I really like this particular color and I want to maybe buy a Copic so that I can have it forever? I'm just refilling it. Just get toast as your brown for potato brown. I think it really is a good color for that. So just a bit of advice. But yes, you can use potato brown in this case. We're substituting because my potato brown is out. She's out of commission. She's left the store. That's okay. And I will be using, let's see if maybe this will work. So I'm just gonna be using warm gray. That's a good light color for the face, I think. I think that's a good color. So this is, maybe I'll write it down. This is warm gray 01. And then just think of this as potato brown because there is one in the Ohuhu set. This is just black. I think this is just like 120, I think. And I was right. Okay, so there is another color that you can use for the really, really, really light, for the light parts of the face. I think it's one, oh God. Sorry, I suddenly went. Okay, so this is green. This is labeled as dim green, but for some reason, my brain views this as a light brown. I think it's pretty, it can be pretty ambiguous, and it kind of is in the same category as the kind of lighter green. I would compare this in Copic words or in Copics to this kind of eggshell. They're so similar, and I just like how light it is. So in these like light parts, kind of on the top of the head and on top of the snout, you can use dim green. So this is GY173. If you have the Ohuhu set. I do recommend, if you have the patience and you have the money, to get a pastel set and a regular set for the Ohuhu markers, because then you can have a lot of the light colors that you can match with the bright colors. So not everything can be so intense and then you're like, oh, what happened? Why is it so intensely colored that way? So just like a little advice there, but you don't have to. You don't have to. The 120 set has everything you need. Most things you need. Okay, so we have our colors. I still need what? Oops, sorry, a little tape. I still need this color. Where are you? Okay. So I think perhaps we have some coral. Do we have some coral? So we have some old red, which I'm a fan of. I don't mind, but that seems a little bit too dark. I'm thinking that it should be coral red, or coral pink, and then we can use fruit pink as the highlight or dark blush as the highlight here. Just taking a stab in the dark. Even though I think that that's a bit more muted because we're using Ohuhus, I just want to try to translate the best I can. So dark blush is R22. And this will be for the lightest parts of the gown. That makes sense, R22. But what about the darker parts? What about the darker parts? Okay. So the darker parts, we can go with coral pink. Maybe I'll put it over here. We can go with coral pink. Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that looks nicer. Okay, okay, okay. So they do match. Yeah, it works. It works. Okay, okay. So once again, this is R22, and this is R1. This is the coral pink. Okay, cool. And I think now we can just color. Le gasp. All right, I think we get the chance to color. Let's go for it, lads. All right. So let's pull the mahogany. And take the mahogany all around our character. Because I think I think we're done. I think we just need some shading and coloring, and then we got it. And then we have some liner. So this is the mahogany. This is the dark brown. And I think with the way everything is placed, I'm just gonna color it through. I think there's a brown around him, and then further out it turns dark. So it ends up being like a darker brown. At least that's my thoughts. Or that like there's like black on the edges, and then internally it's just brown. Like dark brown. That's my guess. Because there's also chestnut brown here that I have not swatched. See, chestnut brown, deep color. So let's just go in and do our best. My uncle used to always tell me that if you do your best, no one can really fault you for anything else, because how can you do better than your best, right? And I felt that pretty comforting. Like, oh, I did my best and I can't do anything more than that. And if I ever felt, you know, upset about it, he'd be like, well, like, did you give your best? And I'd be like, well, I don't know. And he's like, well, there's always next time. And there always is. There's always next time. And there's nothing that can't be fixed, I think. In terms of like a project or an assignment, or I always used to worry so hard about assignments and schoolwork, and I wish I didn't worry so much about all of that. You know? Because at the end of the day, like, what's the problem? You know, why am I worrying so hard for something? So at the end of the day, I ended up being, you know, quite jealous of all the other people that were so chill about it. Yeah, I wish I was them. I wish I was more chill about things. Alright, so we have our brown. So we have our setup brown, which I know it doesn't look like the reference, but that's okay, friends. We're gonna take the chestnut brown, and I'm just gonna go on the outside. And then maybe we can blend this in, perhaps. If you ever are confused about any of the colors, I can repeat them. Maybe I'll write them on the other side now that I'm thinking about it. Potato brown. Oh my god, my handwriting's awful. It is, it's so bad. Okay. Wow, I really bungled that. That's okay. Okay, so we have to blend. So I usually put down a dark color, and then I go in with my lighter color, and I just kind of blend the surrounding area. Okay. We have some kind of, okay, the background is darker, but he's still got a little bit of lightness in him, around him, perfect. So now that we've done that, we can go in with our lighter pink and just go through this, you know, area. Done, pink settled, and then we get the pink on the other side. Okay, cool. It is about as light as I thought it would be, but now we need to get these coral pink. and do some shadows. So I'm just gonna lay it down. Let's see, how does the reference go? We have this spot of shadow, and then we have this spot of shadow about here. Okay, so I think that's okay. I think the color is just a little too bright, so I might end up shadowing it in gray. So that's something that you can do, is if you don't like a color, how bright it is, you can always go over it with a gray Copic or a gray alcoholic marker, and then that helps with it a lot. Okay, and then we have there we go. We have this one, some shadow here. We have some shadow on the other side, and then lastly, we have some shadow about here. So kind of placed some shadow here, but it's still bright. It's so light. So we're gonna go in with this gray. So I think the gray might end up shading it a little bit, or we might end up getting this cool gray. So this cool gray 4 might be a little better. So I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna place some cool gray 4 down. Not bad. It kind of looks like what we want it to look. Cool gray 4 seems to work pretty well. And then we can kind of blend out some of this with our cool gray 2. So not exactly, but not the worst, because I don't think we have a muted color. We can use Old Red, so let's see how that works. Old Red does work. Okay, I was a bit afraid of using Old Red because it's a bit darker. So Old Red is R7, so I'm just placing this down. This is R7. R7, and that is a red that's a little darker and is good for some darker areas. I think I would feel really uncomfortable if I used this everywhere, but for certain parts I'm feeling a bit more comfortable about it. Okay, there you have it, and there's some areas near the shoulders that are just in need of some dark spots, and then some areas at the bottom. And we have our robe, I think. Kind of looks a little stripey, but we can go in. Probably it's the transition colors, but it's not bad. We could use some highlighting and some pen to make it look differently. And because it'll be placed near the other stuff, I think it'll be fine. It does look a little different. Okay. So now time for using black. We have to use black. Okay. So this is the 120. It's got some good contrast, looking fly, looking fresh. The only thing I kind of dislike about Ohuhu markers is that their tips or their nibs just are not durable at all. I think that's a qualm I have, is that the tips are just not durable, and it's why I kind of end up going back to Copics time and time again. But in terms of figuring out what you like to use and what colors you like to use, getting a bunch of really expensive stuff just might not be helpful and might end up stressing you out, so that you're just like, oh god, these are so expensive, how can I use them? So if you feel that way, you don't have to. Okay, so okay, I think we're just gonna end up using some potato brown, and we should probably end up using some cream. I just realized his like little cravat is just looking so I'm just gonna use it on the top around here, so around the middle where the pleats are, and I think that should be fine. So what do? Okay, we use this lighter one for the light part of the face and for the light part of the nose. So this is the lightest marker that we have. This is the dim green. That is this green that's just so light, it just makes me think that it's not actually green. So just placing that down on these light parts. And after that, we're going to use the toast color. So I'm going to go in, and this is why this little spot here wasn't a big worry to me, because I'm using this brown, this potato brown substitute. Smudging a lot, so I think I'm gonna have to be really strategic about where I put things so that it doesn't do too much. Okay. Okay, time to grab this light color and just blend the best we can throughout. And once again, grab our toast color and just kind of go in gently. Oh my goodness, he looks so scraggly. Okay, so I think maybe in terms of the way that it smudges, it's probably not the best one to use, but it's okay. I'm just gonna color the face in and then have that like light coming through, because I realize if I leave too many light spots, it's just gonna look so strange. It's gonna look real weird, and we don't want that. It already kind of looks a bit like craggy from the way that it is placed, where everything's placed, but we're working on it. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with some of my ballpoint and just kind of fix some of this area out. I know there's some whiskers involved here, so we're gonna highlight those. And I think overall, there's like a bunch of these little spots. but overall he's okay. I'm gonna be using some highlighting to make him look less craggy and less strange. So we're gonna grab our highlighting pen, and I'm gonna go for it. So this part is obviously in the light, and I'm just gonna add a little eye highlight, and we're gonna add a little eye highlight up here, as well as an eye highlight kind of underneath the eye, and a couple of highlights kind of in the whiskers region, as well as one on his lip, I think. Makes sense. And then over here, and over here, as well as his tip of his nose. And we're just gonna add it here, and then I think it makes sense to add one on the rim of his ear here, and then on the outside of the ear. And because I'm just gonna add a highlight all throughout this left side where the light's coming through. And I think we got our guy. I think so. I think we got him. Yeah, I think it looks like our dog a little bit different and a little different style. It's just interesting, I guess. Ballpoint pen is really forgiving, even though I've smudged it quite a bit. I'd like to think that his name is Gustav, and he is a proponent of getting every dog a bone. He likes that. He believes that it's every dog's right to have a bone. So he works in the dog judicial system. I can't even speak. For dog rights. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I think that he looks pretty cool and pretty swag, and I'm kind of a fan. I don't know. Ballpoint pen with these highlighters have just been quite fun to use. I've never done this before, but so far, I don't know. Very exciting. This was a new experiment. I hope you had a fun time with me. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else. If you have any questions, I already said that. My brain is so scatterbrained. Have a happy Saturday. Enjoy yourself. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Do your best. And yeah, I'm just really proud of you. So I'll see you guys next week. We did 2 Distinguished Gentlemen. Distinguished Gentleman 1 up above. He's great. I used a lot of bright oranges with him. Perhaps he's in the desert. Perhaps he knows sword fighting. It's all up to the, heart of the cards. And then down here we have a very distinguished, kind of academic, judicial gentleman. Both are great gentlemen. And yeah, if this was fun for you, please let me know, and then we can probably do more ballpoint pen stuff. And yeah, looking forward to next week.